Hey everyone, in this video let's go to question 206, reverse linked list on Leetcode. This is part of our blind 75 list of questions. Let's begin. In this question, you're given the head of a singly linked list and you want to reverse the list and return the reverse list. So here the head is 1 and it goes from all the way to 1 to 5 and you want to reverse this. Now you want to make the head 5 and you want it to link to 4, then 3, then 2, and then 1. So basically reverse the entire thing. Same thing here, 1 to 2, then we get from 2 to 1. Now this question is actually pretty common. I guess it's one of those questions, like those basic questions of linked list that you're introduced to. And the way you would go about doing this one is, as with like a lot of these linked list type problems, it often helps to keep a previous variable and a current variable, right? A previous one and a current one. Current variable will be going through the list, and your previous one will be like lagging one node behind. Basically, any adjustments that you need to do can be done using these two variables here. For example, maybe you need to insert in a list, or maybe you need to delete a node, or maybe you need to, reorder something. Then previous and cur is often useful in these cases. It's also going to be useful in this case, like where we want to reverse the linked list. Well, how? Well, let's take a look at something like 1, and then we have 2, and then 3, and then 4, and then finally 5, right? If we have something like this, what we want is we want this link to be reversed, right? We want 2 to point to 1, we want 3 to point to 2, 4 to point to 3, 5 to point to 4, etc. Now, in order for us to do this, we need to somehow, first of all, cycle through the list, right? We always cycle through a list, and that can be done using cur. So initially, we can have cur set to something like this. Then eventually, cur will be here, etc. Now, if cur is set to 1, right, I need to have 1 basically point to nothing. I need to have it point to none. So what I could do is I could set previous equal to none at the start, and then I could have cur, which is 1, point to this previous. So now 1 will point to none. But notice how then we broke this link here, right? We broke this link. So I need to store this link somewhere. So I can maybe just say next, or OG next, so original next is 2, right? And then I could maybe set cur.next equal to previous one. Cur.next is equal to previous, right? So now we have a link, something like this. So 1 wants to null, something like this. And then this link is broken. And then cur can go over here. Cur is now here. And then previous, we can set to the number 1. So now previous comes here, and this is still pointing to none, which will just denote by n. And now we can do the same thing. We'll denote what our OG next is, which in this case will be a 3, and then the cur.next is equal to previous, and so then we'll form a link here. And then obviously we need to update cur, and we need to update previous. So let's take a look how we can do that. And again, this is just one of those problems where you just have to know the trick, and once you learn this trick, then the other ones are pretty simple. But this one is like probably one of the basic problems that it's just, if you just jot it down and you know this trick about previous and cur, then you should be able to do it. So let's see how we can do this trick, or this problem. So first of all, head can be empty, right? So we'll do if not head, then we can just return head in this case. Otherwise, well, we need a previous and we need a cur. Cur will be set to head. Now we loop. Well, when do we loop to? Well, it's often we loop till either cur, like while cur still exists, or cur.next still exists. So either you loop to this element here, or you loop to this element here, and then that's like how you figure out like where you want to end. So in this case, actually, there's no point in looping to this element here, because if we loop to this one, like we haven't processed this 5 here. We need cur to actually arrive here. We need cur to actually come over here, and then eventually like go out of bounds. So then we know that we are done our iteration, because we need cur to go here, because then we can reset this link here to be something like this. So we need cur all the way to go out of bounds. So we would just do something like this. If we did cur.next, then cur would actually stop at the last index. So that's not something we want to do. We want cur to go out of bounds. So cur will go out of bounds here. Now what is the first thing I want to do? Well, first thing I want to record what the original next is. That is equal to cur.next, right? So initially, we have something like this. Initially, previous is all the way here. Cur is equal to here. Cur.next is equal to 2, right? Now what we can do is we can do cur.next is equal to previous. Previous is none, so then that's all good. We can do that. Now what? Now we can do previous is equal to cur. So now previous comes over here. And then cur, well, we want to move cur now to this 2 here, but we can't do cur.next because that's already been overwritten. So we have to do this. We can do cur is equal to OG next. And we just keep allowing this to happen. So then cur will come here, we'll set up the link, and then it'll go here, etc. And then in the very end, it'll be here, and then we'll go over here. And then the very end, what we'll do is we will actually advance cur here, and then we'll see that this is false. But now we want to return this head, right? This 5. So how do we do that? Well, we have access to prev. So that's how we can do it. We can just return proof. And that's pretty much it. We just go ahead and submit. And then we have our answer. So this is the O of n time algorithm. And there's no really extra space, so it's O of 1 constant space. Okay, thanks for watching.